What up, guys? Welcome to the New American Dream Podcast. I'm your host, George Gibson. All right, that's the last one for the year. So this show today, we have a great show today. This couple is a part of Biggerpockets. They make tons of YouTube videos. They're kind of like famous to me, but they're a couple and they're killing the rental game. They're buying rental properties, they're house hacking, and they're getting into using private money. So this show, I wouldn't say it's for the beginner, but it's like the second step because we didn't discuss any of the definitions, so you can look them up, but they're going to really give you the detail on exactly how to get started in buying rental properties and house hacking and dealing with contractors. And it's just an all around is summed up by real estate for the entire year on the New American Dream Podcast. Awesome show. But before we get into the show, this year has been a difficult, I won't say difficult, but weird year, wearing masks and people not working, buildings closed. So going forward for 2021, I want everyone to reach deep down inside, and we talk about this on the show today, and find out what do you do best. What is your natural talent and gift? And today we talked about on the show, Kyle, he always worked with his dad growing up, fixing things. So he can put pieces of the puzzle together, watch YouTube, and figure out basically how to build a house, right? But, that's his natural gift. And then his wife, she come around and she do more of the managing things. And I know you saying that sound normal, but at the end of the day, I want everybody to do what you do best. Whatever your expertise, that's what you need to join a team and you need to do that part. So find out your purpose, look at my setting day. I'm in the library, I've been painting, and it's the last few days of the year, and I know we want to make it to 2021 and just start fresh, but that extra mile you go to finish out the year and finish out your projects and finish out the week and finish out the day, it leads to the end result. You being successful and attaining your goals. And the most important thing is you being happy. Finding your gift and purpose make life easy and you become happy. That's just downright the simple way to say it. And I want all my people who are watching this podcast throughout the whole year to find your purpose and gift and use it every day. Every day, I made a list quickly. I would love to ride four-wheelers every day. I would love to travel every day. I like to do some type of real estate every day. And just about every day, at least 3 to 4 times a week, I ride my four-wheeler and I pretty much do real estate every day. And that's why I'm happy now. Simple. I'm not wealthy. I can't do everything, but I enjoy doing those things. So listen to this show. I want you to get your notes ready and get ready. I think anybody should be able to buy a property, definitely a house hack, after watching this show, because they give all the gems and they are knowledgeable and they break it down in terms where people like me can understand. So sit back, relax. It's 2020. This is one of the best episodes throughout the year, and I look forward to 2021. And everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But let's get into the show. Peace. Alrighty, welcome to the show. We have Lauren and Kyle.
What is going on? How you doing?
Thanks for having us.
Oh, doing pretty good. I was watching you guys on YouTube. It feel like a long time now, but I don't know how long you guys been doing YouTube for Biggerpockets yet.
Yeah, the series started back in June. I think the first episode launched, so it's been a little while, and that renovation took a while as well because
it felt like a long time.
Yeah, we bought the house like 2 weeks before the COVID lockdown, and so obviously the permit delays and everything got took forever.
So is this the house with the shed in the back?
Yeah, it's got a 5-car garage.
But
so
it's not.
Yeah.
Oh no, not the one with the demolished, the one with the tree on it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I guess you was working out the shed one time, one episode. Like you had all your stuff in the storage. Then it was like a double-story house.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So this property to triplex, and then behind is a 5-car garage, and we rented out 3 of the bays, and then we kept 2 of them for ourselves. So it's Kyle's little workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, built a miter table in there.
Yeah. So it was super helpful during the renovation, but it sucked having it. Usually we set up our cut stations in our project.
Right.
And on that one, we had tenants underneath us. First time inheriting tenants and renovating a building with tenants in it. So we had to set up outside, and unlucky for us, we were renovating a 3rd floor unit. So it was up and down from the 3rd floor.
So how was it buying your first rental property with a tenant? like taking over a existing tenant?
So there's two parts to it. So from like a property management point of view, being the property manager, because we self-manage, is a little nerve-wracking for me because they're used to their old landlord and this is their home, right? And we're coming in and to take over, if you will. So there's definitely a little apprehension there, but they were already on month-to-month leases. So it worked out really well for us that we were able to put them on new leases with us. We kept them month to month. And, you know, we were really just upfront with them. Hey, we're going to be renovating the third floor. You know, we're doing it ourselves. We are going to have a few subs here, but it's going to take a little bit longer than maybe you'd expect. And, you know, please just let us know if you have any issues at all. And then also, since they had already been there, we asked them what issues they have had with the house because, you know, we went in, we had our team come in, but they know the house best. They've been living there. So especially the one guy who had been there the longest on the first floor, he told us everything, you know, this door sticks, this pipe, you know, leaks, you know, when it's cold, this happens. So it was really nice to kind of have like an insider's point of view of the property. So we made sure that we addressed all of their issues first. And then we spruced up the exterior a little bit so they could see that we were making efforts to the property. And then from a renovation standpoint.
Yeah, it was, so like I deal with all the project management and Lauren deals with tenant management. So it was the first project where we've had to communicate. Usually I just jump in there. I make all the noise I want. I listen to the radios as loud as I want. I have subs in there, listen to their radios as loud as they want. This was the first one where we really had to communicate.
Yeah, because it created a little tension with them. Because,
yeah, it did.
You know, his sub would say they were going to show up on Tuesday and not Wednesday, let's say. They didn't show up on Tuesday and then they show up on Wednesday. And now I didn't let the tenant know that there was going to be a sub there banging a hammer upstairs. And it's, you know, during the COVID lockdown. So both of our tenants are working remotely. So they physically can't go to a library or
one
go to a cafe.
Student
yeah, one was a student.
Maybe they had a test that day, which happened.
So it created a lot of tension between us because he needed to tell me when his subs were going to be there. I then had to tell the tenants what our schedule was. And we really had to think ahead of time because, you know, our tenants were able to make some scheduling changes. You know, maybe they could go to their parents' house or a friend's house during the day if we were going to be making a lot of noise, but I needed to give them heads up for that. And so it definitely taught us a lot that you can't over communicate.
No, it enabled us to set some, you know, steps and things to us where we do now weekly meetings to lay out, you know, maybe the next week or the 2 weeks. And it helps us a lot with scheduling. And what
taught us a lot. I think we got a lot of great lessons from it.
Yeah. So would you rather have the tenants move out and buy it vacant? Like next time you was to buy it, would you rather like, hey, make sure your tenants are give them in their lease and start, you know, fresh? Or would you like the income while you're working?
I don't know. It's like there's benefits to both. I mean, in this circumstance now, it took us a lot longer to do this renovation because of COVID. So having the tenants in there really helped us out.
Yeah, especially because it was a 3-family property.
Yeah.
So that, you know, that would have been 2 units of rent we're losing. And we were fortunate their rents, while below market, did cover the fixed expenses for the house. So each month we didn't really have to put out any of our own money for like overhead. Obviously we were dumping money in the renovations, but it was comforting. We didn't have this big mortgage payment to pay. So I don't know, like.
And we got 2 of the garages rented almost immediately.
Yeah. But like, if I don't, there's something really nice about not having to
pay that money out
report back to someone, right?
If we bought it as a BRRRR, which we semi did, but we bought it more as an owner occupant property.
Yeah.
But if we bought it as a strictly BRRRR, I'd want the tenant out of there.
Right.
Put it that way.
Okay, I get it. Because then you'll be ready to move at a faster rate.
Because then we could just renovate, blow through the whole thing, and refi, and then get some new tenants in there in brand new units.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we kind of jumped right into it. All right, let's get some kind of. All right, let's get like backstory. Like, where'd you guys grow up at? Like, tell the people like where you from.
So I grew up just outside of Trenton in Hamilton Township, Mercer County,
in New Jersey.
And met Lauren at college at Rowan.
Yeah, I'm originally from North Jersey, and if Jersey people know, North Jersey and South Jersey are like 2 different states. So I'm from North Jersey, and then Kyle and I both met, at school in South Jersey. We went to Rowan University. Obviously, during our college days, we had 0 aspirations of anything past senior year, right? Like, did not think about careers or real estate investing at all. And then when we graduated,
You started reading and
I had like a little, I had a little bit
of
of savings. My parents were like super, taught me frugality growing up. So I had a little bit of savings, and I literally Googled how to invest money in your 20s, and Brandon Turner's old blog pre Biggerpockets came up about real estate investing. And I just like devoured the entire blog, thought this was amazing, printed out.
She printed out 7 years to 7 figures. Like
it was his
ebook.
Right.
And handed me like, I don't know, it was like 10 pages of printouts and was like, here, read this.
Wow.
And I laying in bed just reading it, and just I was in, I was hooked.
So Kyle, what did your parents do growing up? Like, were they real estate investors?
They were not. They were no sort of investor. I mean, they were the rich dad, poor dad. They were the poor dad. They were work hard for your money, and get a good job. And that's essentially how I grew up until Lauren kind of opened up a new world to me of investing. So
would you say you're kind of like middle class growing up?
Yes, exactly. I was a middle class suburban neighborhood, public school, and then sent to a Catholic high school, sports related, and I played sports in college. But middle of the road, middle class.
One of the things I always ask that question on the podcast. And it seemed like the middle class, like my mom, she's definitely middle class coming up. And she was like, our parents taught us to get a good job and save a little bit of money. And that's it. Like right there, save a little bit of money. So that third step, which is the hardest part, which is investing. And I always tell people, like, if I say you gave, like, you guys know people, say you gave them $100,000 and you told them 1 year from today, bring me back $100,000 and $10. How many people you think could do it?
They'd be scrambling in like in month 11. Like, how am I going to get all that back?
And I realized that's the hardest part is growing the money. Like, we can make money and save, 10%, but the hard part is taking $100,000 to $110,000. Like, the middle class was never really taught that.
And there's also like a different type of investing. Like I grew up fortunately with my dad saying save, anytime, like my first job was Rita's Italian Ice. I was scooping, water ice for people in the summer, and I was making $5 an hour, and I got a raise to $5.25. And my dad was like, you're going to keep living like you only make $5 an hour and you're going to save the 25 cents. And like, I mean, even to this day, I get a raise at work and he still tells me the same thing. So I had that like great financial foundation. And yes, he did tell me like, 401ks and Roth IRAs and stuff like that. But like, it was like, those are great investments, but those are very like safe investments. And you can't really reap those rewards until your retirement age. And I was like, okay, but like, how do I not work till I'm 65? Like, this is great that I'm going to be set at 65. Appreciate that. But like, what do we do before then? And that's where I think real estate really jived with us, because while it is definitely a long-term play, by no means is it a get rich quick scheme. You do get that wealth, or at least access to that wealth sooner. And that's why I think we were so hooked.
Yes.
Right. And that's the main reason for this podcast, the New American Dream, because like I was at the post office, and that's that same thing. You got to work here 30 years just to reap the benefits of life. Like 30 years and then you can enjoy life. And it's like, that don't make sense to me. But so what was like, did you guys ever get to your career job once you graduated college?
We did. We both still work full time.
We do.
Outside of real estate.
Oh, okay. You make it look easy now.
It is exhausting.
Yeah, it's very tiring.
I went to school for video production. So I have been in video production since graduating, kind of went like the corporate production route. So right now I work for a university. So I'm doing like corporate video for a university.
And I grew up in a law enforcement family, so I wanted to really get into law enforcement. It took me a long time to get into it. I actually was 26 by the time I actually got into an agency. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm in the state. I'm a trooper in New Jersey for the New Jersey State Police, and it's great. I wish that I could do real estate full time, but we know that the W-2 job, helps with loans and qualifying.
There's a lot of benefits. We were just talking about this with somebody about how like, going into real estate full time, and definitely there are circumstances where it makes sense to do that sooner than later. But I think while you can, if you can do both, having a W-2 job makes you more bankable to get those conventional loans, which is super important, especially when you're burring. So we're going to try to stick it out for a little longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the crazy part about it, I'm going to ask this question still. imagine, all right, because you guys do both sides of the coin. You do real estate investing and you work a job. If you were to try to explain to your employees at your job, if real estate was a job, how hard do you work and what's the benefits? Like if you had to compare it to a job. Makes sense.
Yeah. So a couple of summers ago, I waitressed at a breakfast place. And it's funny because some people hate waitressing, but I loved the like instant gratification of like, I work really hard and then I get this paycheck that's directly correlated to how hard we worked.
Right.
And again, while real estate is the long-term play, because we do BRRRR investing, it's kind of the same thing. Like if we analyze this market correctly, analyze this deal correctly, negotiate correctly, renovate correctly, and then place a good tenant, we should get a nice payout. And so I think that's like kind of what's so cool to me about it is it's like you work really hard and your work is directly correlated to your pay at the end. And then it just keeps paying you every month. So your successes compound over time. I don't know if anyone has related real estate to waitressing before, but
well, yeah, that's what I like about the job. The difference, but at the same time, being a waiter is more stress on you because what if you're not feeling good and you can't work? All right, that's $0 for that night, right?
Yeah.
And it's like real estate. If you don't, get up and take action, you could be at $0.
Yeah, I mean, but I love the waiter waitress, communication and the mentality because we're now getting into utilizing private money. So we always say that you can't just Google private lender.
Right. It's all relationship based.
It's all relationship based. So you got to be able to communicate and have conversations with people to open those relationships up to a private lender. So your private lender is
like your regular.
Yeah, they're like your regular. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So, you take strengths from the jobs you had before and focus them into real estate, and it works.
Right. Okay. So, all right, because this is like a higher level course, so we're gonna get into it. Private money. For a first-time private money lender, say somebody, they bought a house, they bought another duplex, but they use their own money. So now they're thinking about, going bigger and they want to get into private money. What are some like first-time tips and good numbers for people to use? Like what's a good interest rate, for a first time? Maybe they're doing a flip.
All right. Private money is like our favorite right now. So I'm so glad we're talking about this. So I would say first things first, it's good that they did their first deal with their own money because now they created some sort of track record because private money lenders want to know that you know what you're doing. And so by risking your own money first and creating hopefully a successful outcome is great because now you have this sample model that you could show a private lender. So the first step I would do is I would take the deal that you already completed and create kind of like a deal analysis or a sample deal for your private money lender and kind of like show it as a resume. So that's the first thing.
Document also that first property. Document everything that you do. Because just like Lauren said, when you present this and have these conversations with your prospective lenders, they're going to want to see all that.
Yeah. And if you made mistakes or if you failed in certain areas, that's fine. But show them how you created solutions and fixed those problems.
Absolutely.
Like, I only budgeted $30,000 for the renovation and we went over. Okay, well, what did you learn from that lesson and how did you handle it? I think that's super important. And then, so private money lenders, it sounds like an intimidating task, I feel, but first you have to start with the people around you. And I know everyone has different kind of circles they run in. So you might not necessarily have money in your circle, but maybe sit down and create a list of all the people you think that could possibly have money, whether it be your parents, your friends, maybe grandma whose house she owns outright. Can she take like a HELOC out on her house?
And most of the time, grandma is at a stage in her life and investment that she's making really low risk investments. They're sitting in low yield savings accounts where it's easily accessible. As to young folks who are in the aggressive stage of their portfolios where a lot of their money is out working, it's a lot harder to access.
So first thing is like think about all the people that you could find. And then in terms of like rates and stuff, again, it is all about relationships. So you really just need to start like having those conversations, show them your sample deal. If I showed you a deal, if I brought you a deal that looked just like the one I did, would you be interested in doing it? And that helps open up a lot of conversations. And then in terms of rates and stuff, I know everyone hates this answer, but it does depend on your relationship. Because if you go to a private lender and let's say it is like grandma and she has her money in a TD savings account that makes 0.05% right now.
Right.
Well, then you could pay her 3% on her money and she'd be very happy. But if you go to like savvy Wall Street investor, whoever, they're probably making like a significant investment on their money in stock markets because they're like an expertise in that. So they're going to want like 15%. So you kind of do have to look at a win-win, but to give some sort of number, it's rates are judged on how well they trust you, how risky the investment is, and then how long of the investment is. So flips generally are seen as more risky than rental properties. So again, ballpark, this is different for everyone. I would say a flip rate would be like 8 to 12%.
Okay.
Yeah. And your lender might want a point up front, which is a percentage of the total loan amount. And then, they're going to want to do it for a set amount of time. So that's 6 months, 9 months to a year. So now we only do rentals and BRRRRs. So when we buy our private money, it's, somewhat like a flip in that we have to refinance, which would be like the sell during flipping.
Right.
So we do our terms in 9 months. Even though we know we're probably going to be able to refinance after 6 months, we just do the 9-month term just to give us that extra leeway.
Right. Oh, that was a great explanation for how to use private money. So would you recommend, have you guys used hard money first?
No.
Okay. I would stay away. Yeah. So, yeah. So if people, when you first getting started, if you can't do it yourself, I would recommend going, like you said, private money, working in and then outward, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it really only takes one successful private money deal and project to really open up the floodgates for multitude of other lenders, because a lot of people, whether you realize it or not, are sitting back and watching to see how that deal goes. And then they're going to come out, all of a sudden money's going to come out of nowhere.
Especially at your local meetups. I guarantee you at your local meetup is a private lender. They're not advertising that they're a private lender. They have like, couple $100K sitting in an account ready to invest.
It's like the millionaire next door.
But they don't want to make that public because then they know all these people are going to be attacking them.
Yep.
So they sit back, they see who's making moves, they see who's like, really creating a name for themselves. And then when they're ready, they will, introduce themselves. And the more you create a track record, whether that's by attending meetups and being social or creating like a social media account, the more likely these people are going to know that you exist.
That's right on. Okay. So, all right, say you're looking for a deal. You guys are looking for a deal. What makes a deal attractive? What make you, want to pick up and call the realtor and go look at this deal?
So we have 2 markets that we invest in. All right. If I see a bed bath, 3-bed, 1-bath at just over 1,000 square feet because we are in the market right now for a BRRRR under a certain price, we're all over it.
Yeah.
All over it. Yeah.
So
you're going to turn it into a 3-2? Sorry.
We'll keep it a 3-1.
We'll keep it a
3-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's obviously that sales price that we're looking for. But in the area that I'm speaking of, there's a lot of really old homes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's a potential that one goes on the market just as is, and it's ready for sale. I don't know, 30,000.
But of course we do, and I know we're not the only people to say this. We obviously got this from somebody else, but of course we're always looking to like add value. So we're always looking for houses that need like a significant renovation. Because we want to, force the value. And then with the square footage, if we could fit another bedroom in there, we definitely want to add that.
Because a lot of these places, especially in the market that I'm talking about, there's 2-1s that come on the market where we love to walk those and see if we can throw a third in there.
Yeah, so it's like 2-1, 1,200 square feet. I'm like, there's
There's
definitely
room
in there.
Yeah, for sure.
And a trick that we haven't implemented yet, but we have learned and are definitely keeping our eye out is the 2-1 or even the 3-1 that's long and narrow, because on the first floor, it's most likely going to be a living room, a dining room, a kitchen, and then a door out to the backyard. Well, people today don't really need a formal dining room. So as long as the space is big enough, you could actually bring the kitchen forward. So you could do living room, eating kitchen.
The eating kitchen is huge.
And then you could plug an office or a bedroom behind that kitchen before you go to the backyard. And that, it might not be a legal 3rd or 4th bedroom, but it could definitely give you like that office, which people are really into right now, especially with remote working.
Right. Okay. So that's definitely anything over 1,000 square feet. So
what does a 3-bedroom in the area you're looking for rent for on average?
Right around 1,300.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess it depends on what part of the world. I'm in Florida. So
Okay.
1,300, 300. I mean, that's like a working class neighborhood.
Yeah, so I'll just throw the numbers out there. So if we could find one that's a little dilapidated, we'd probably get it right around 30,000. It would probably need right around 50 to 60,000 worth of renovations, and then it would ARV probably right around like 130, and then our rental would be, like I said, around 1,300.
Okay. And that sounds like a large rehab, a $50,000, $60,000 rehab.
That's why we're trying to step back and start outsourcing to some contractors.
Yeah, that's with us paying contractors. Like we could definitely do the work ourselves for, 40, 35, 40.
Again, to put it into numbers. So when we broke our numbers down, $24 a square foot for a renovation, if we did it ourselves. If we hire out, it's probably going to be closer to 40.
Okay.
A square foot. So, I mean, it significantly jumps up.
Yeah. And to talk about the renovation costs a little bit. So because we self-manage, we like to make the managing process as easy as possible. And the best way to do that is to just make sure there's going to be no repairs. So we front load CapEx hard. So we're replacing the roof, the HVAC, all the appliances, the washer, dryer, all the toilets. We're switching out a lot of plumbing. I mean, what other things are we doing?
Yeah. We're putting in dishwasher. We're putting in the amenities that we would want as a tenant, washer, dryer within the unit.
We're waterproofing the outside.
Because this market that we're talking about, it's got a high water table. So the basement is useless for storage unless you get a sump down there.
Yeah, I'm fine with spending a lot of money if I don't have to spend a little bit of money often afterwards. Absolutely.
As Lauren would say, I don't do all this work to make another management company's job easier.
Exactly.
Right. And that's probably my mess up right there, is going heavy on the front load so I get less calls during the week. Every time my tenant call, I'm like, who I want to answer, because it's another problem.
Well, it's funny. There's one property that we didn't replace the HVAC system because, we had it serviced and the guy was like, no, it works. Like you could probably get a couple years out of it. And we were already going like a smidge over budget. I'm like, all right, let's just keep it. And we got 2 calls this week about the heat not working. And it's like, cold, 35, 40-degree day. We're trying to outsource as much as possible. So instead of Kyle going over, we sent over our HVAC guy. So it was like, some nice labor hits that we probably wouldn't have gotten if we just replaced it.
People really got to think about that when they're deciding what they want to replace and not replace, because that could happen on a Saturday or a Sunday. Now you're paying, there's a difference between a normal weekday labor rate and a Sunday morning labor rate. Emergency call. So, and
with supplies, we almost ran into a little issue because the second time the heat stopped working was a Friday, and HVAC supply places close at 4:30 on Fridays. They do not work the weekends.
Right.
And fortunately, our sub was able to get to a place at like 3:30. They had the part. It was okay. He was able to fix it. But if the heat goes out on Saturday, like Home Depot doesn't carry a lot of these like specialty pieces.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Like our fallback would have been going to Home Depot and buying like 5 space heaters and, bringing them over for the weekend until we could get somebody back on Monday.
So if the plumbing go out, right? Do you guys have like a handyman to go, or do you actually call a real plumbing company to go do it?
I'm really actually glad you just asked that, because this is exactly where I was going to jump off of what Lauren was just saying. So the guy that we actually had go out was not our HVAC guy, because our HVAC guy was sick. So you develop these relationships over time, and whether you use those people or not, people to come out and give you quotes and things like that, save their numbers in your Rolodex, because at some point you're going to be in a pinch where you need somebody out there to do an emergency job. And you're like, well, who do I call? Well, wait, I had, maybe 4 or 5 HVAC guys come give me quotes. Let me call them and see if they're available. This guy actually happened to be a tenant of ours, but we rent our garage to him. But that's what I would do. And I would refer back to all those people that you've talked to within those trades. So save those numbers.
Yeah, but for like HVAC it depends what the call is. We knew that this was going to require like some sort of fix, and it wasn't just like a pilot light was out.
Yeah.
We do have a handyman where we will send if we kind of think it is just like.
But just like she just said, we actually used him as a contractor, and he just worked. It was a one-man show to do a full renovation, and he didn't work out. But Lauren put it to me perfectly. He's just in the wrong seat. Okay. Maybe he's not good for a full renovation, but he's handy. Where can we use him? his labor rate was cheap. Let's use him for a handyman as a maintenance guy. So that's exactly where we've kind of put him into our Rolodex.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's if you get a good person, you need to keep them and hold on to them, because you can't just get rid of somebody who, you know, they reliable and they're at a cheaper price than normal.
Absolutely. And don't go firing people and burning bridges, because at some point you're gonna need to reach out to somebody.
Right. Okay. So, like, if you say you guys could make a 10-man team, a real estate team, right? And you only had to do one position instead of right now you guys probably doing every position. If you could do, what position do you think you do best at? And would you mind just focusing on that one part of the whole business?
I'm like, which one can I do from the beach?
I know, right? Well, no, you don't want to collect rent because you're gonna be not collecting rent too.
I would say, and I'll just kind of go what I enjoy doing most. I like analyzing deals.
Yeah.
And I like, I like working with the private lenders too, but I would say I'd be like the deal analyzer. Like I'd be like the final person who decides if we're going to go with this deal or not.
Right. What about you, Kyle?
I really like actually GCing jobs. Like I used to be the one to do all the renovations, and it would be nice to give my body a break. But I also like to see that transformation happen, that buying something that's so dilapidated and run down and just breathing new life into it. I love that transformation.
So I'm going to be on the beach by myself.
No, I could do, hey, send me pictures when you're done today, and I'll get that visual.
Yeah, because you're the general contractor, so you're not really doing much other work.
Exactly. But yeah. I love that we did do it because it gives us a good base of knowledge and experience. So were you just handy, or did you like go to school for this? How did you? YouTube University, bro. No, I did. I grew up with like, my dad was kind of a jack of all trades. He always did things at the house that needed to be done. He never hired anybody out. So I learned a little bit there. And then really over time, and I'm not joking, YouTube has been a huge help. When I want to learn and do a project, it's just I jump on YouTube, learn about it, and then do it.
I feel like you're also really good at like learning something, like learning how to do one task and then going to do another task and going, okay, well, I use this tool this way that time. I think I could still use what I learned there, but just modify it. Like you're really good at connecting things. Yeah.
So a lot of people will ask that are just getting into DIY investing and they want to do renovations themselves. What are some jobs that you think are a good undertaking for somebody just getting into it? And I would suggest like doing trim and window casings, flooring. And that's because utilizing like a miter saw and angles, and it just, you can utilize those skills throughout a lot of interior renovations.
Yeah, we're on like the complete opposite. I love to follow steps. So like assembling IKEA furniture like jives with my brain so well. So like, especially because we're renovating old homes, because the start is different, right? Because we don't know how like crappy the house is.
Right.
I can't do well with that because I don't.
There is no step-by-step how
I want
to,
the steps.
because it's blending new with old. So you're just kind of, you're in the moment. You're just trying to figure it out. And
you know what? I bought a real old home recently. Like it was like 1950, so I was like 70 years old. But the guy I had working, you know, he close friend of the family. He said, George, with these old homes, this guy had rigged all kind of stuff. Like the electricity was literally hanging through the like wires through the house. Like he had ran electricity that way. But a lot of things, he said, they didn't have the right tools to do it back then, so they worked with what they got. So when you come in and modify, you can't just change it all the way around, but you can enhance what they did. You know, you got to realize what they use, what they had. So you can't, you gotta think, be creative.
Absolutely. So, I mean, just as a quick example, a lot of these old homes have knob and tube electric. So we have to take all of that out and run all new electric. So one thing that we started doing and doing all over every house that we get is utilizing tall baseboards, like 7-inch baseboard, 6.5-inch tall baseboard with a inch cap. So it's 7-inch tall. We tear out about 8 inches worth of the sheetrock or the plaster. And that's where we run all of our electric. And then we'll stack up a small piece of sheetrock. You don't even have to finish it because you're slapping 6-inch baseboard over top of it. So that's just a quick tip on a new electric in an old house that makes it real easy.
See, that's being smart and creative right there.
Yeah. And
But
at first, sorry, real quick. At first, I was like, why are you buying this tall baseboard? It's like 3 times the cost of other baseboard. And then he explained it to me. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because recently, I think I bought like a 5 1/4. And my dad was like, why are you buying them big old baseboards? I just Googled it, and it came up. That was the average size. That was my first time doing it. But now I'm doing a new house. I think it might go like 4 or 3.
Yeah.
So, what is your why? Like, why are you doing this? Because evidently we know it's rental to wealth, but like, what's the ultimate goal in this like process?
You know, we talk about this a lot because like we don't have kids yet. So we can't really say like, oh, we want to spend more time with our kids. But I think we just have like the wherewithal to know that that's going to be important in the future. So I think it really just comes down to, we just want to have the option to say yes or no and to do what we want. If we wake up one morning and decide we want to like take this fictitious boat out, you know, for a weekend trip, we don't have to call and take time off. Or if, you know, our kid says like, Mom, like, let's go to the zoo today. I'm like, okay, let's go. So I think it's like more of like knowing that because family means so much to us now, that it's only going to grow when we have children and expand our family ourselves. So I think it's just really like thinking ahead and saying like, hey, you know, working our whole life away to exactly what you said in the beginning, to then enjoy the last, you know, couple of years doesn't sound too attractive to us.
Absolutely. I mean, both my parents my father's over 70 and my mom is about to be 70, and they're still working. And that's just the life of the middle-class family. I mean,
right.
I'm sure a lot of people can relate. So I don't want to be in that situation. I want to be fully retired, obviously, by 70. So that's definitely my goal.
And our journey originally started with, because Kyle's in the state police, he has to retire from that job at 55. And a lot of troopers and other Leos will then just get another job afterwards.
Right.
And I was like, how cool would that be if we could both retire at 55? So that was our original goal. It had nothing to do with like retiring, you know, in 5 years. It was just,
right.
Let's retire at 55. You know, you'll have a pension, we'll have some of our savings, and we'll have just like a few rental properties, and this will be great. Well, obviously you do one, you know, deal and you get sucked in, and the goal has changed.
Retire next year.
We're like, let's go.
Yeah. That's funny though, because wait, all right. So are you guys like the wait, first of all, before that, I lost the thought. Today, me and my dad, we did like a delivery. So we would pick up furniture and deliver for somebody, right? So I'm in Florida. We go to this house. It's right on the beach. So it's just always weird. Like, you wonder what people do. You know, you got $1 million house, live on the beach. Yeah. I wonder what he do. So we doing a job, whatever. And next thing you know, I noticed like a big old screen in the back corner. And guess what's on the screen? Stocks. So, you know, it's like he's on the...
Yeah. So what are you buying?
I know, right? But no, I always like, I'm not really into the stocks and day trading, but it seemed like the people that are into it and are good at it, they're making, you know, money. He didn't look like he was finna go to work or anything. He had his big old screen up, and you know, that was in his, you know, in his mind. So I mean, I just look at it like people have to figure out what they I understand real estate. So people got to go to what they understand, so that'll work out best for, you know, different personalities.
100%.
Yeah.
So what if, like, all right, say God came down and he whispered in your ear only, and he was like, you know, this is your gift, this is your purpose in life. What would you think that'd be? Like, the one thing you're better at than most of everybody you know.
Oh, that's so hard. We're getting deep over here.
Most people say eating. I don't know. No, I don't know.
I love that.
So it's like your purpose, your gift. Like, what is something you're known for? This baking pies or what? What are you known for?
I don't know. And it sounds cocky, but like, I feel like I can walk into a room and just make friends with anybody.
That's true.
I can walk in and just have a conversation and most people like really like me. I don't know, but I can walk into a room and make people feel comfortable and have full blown conversations with strangers.
I think that's true. We'll walk into like a restaurant and the waitress is like, all right, your table's ready. And I'll get to the table and I'll be by myself. And I'm like, where'd he go? And it's because even if we're in a different state, he knows someone everywhere, or he sees someone with like a hat that he knows someone who knows someone. And before you know, he's like, hey, he's friends with so-and-so and so-and-so. And like, we're going to get dinner tomorrow. Like, what? Whoever he ended up with.
We were in Canada and I ran into like somebody that I know.
Like, it's fortunate that he ended up marrying someone who like, I'm also social, because I find myself alone at parties a lot because he just ditches me, or he's like, oh, I'll go get a drink.
Don't ditch
no,
her.
He goes and gets us a drink at the bar, and then an hour goes by, and I'm like, where are you? He's like, oh, sorry, I was running to so-and-so.
That's fair.
So I would say that you make people you are really good at like comforting people and like striking up conversations.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a real skill, because not recently, but before COVID, I went to like a real estate meetup. And a couple of my friends, like me, I'm kind of the introvert. I'm more like, let me go find a deal, the networking and stuff. It's fun and stuff, but it's not what I would, run to.
Yeah.
So I bring one of my friends, he kind of like you. Get there, he care about real estate, but, not as much as me, but he's just talking to everybody. We leave, he got insurance people, he got mortgage people, he got, all these people. But that's a real skill, that's a real gift.
I agree. And then I would say mine, now that I had a couple seconds to think about it, I'm really good at thinking like 4 steps ahead. I'm super logistical, and that has been like super valuable with real estate, because I'm like, okay, what do we need to do next week, next month, next year? What's our 10-year goal? How are we working backwards? And it's worked really well for us because Kyle's super present and in the moment and really focused and like really like task oriented. And I'm very tomorrow.
Right.
So we balance each other out really well like that.
So in 5 years, where do you want this real estate business to be at?
In 5 years, based off of our 10-year goal, we should be we should be more than halfway to our 10-year goal.
Yeah, I'd say probably 12.
Okay, we'll say.
Yeah.
But we will be, because we're manifesting this, right? We will be at between $10,000 to $12,000 in cash flow a month, and that's after fixed expenses and reserves.
Right. Okay. That's a solid plan. Sounds like you can be at the beach a lot.
Yeah, I hope so.
If you could go back, like, because like even me too, like I learned a lot. I've been through a lot with real estate. Every day you're learning. So if you could go back 3 years from today, what is something maybe you would have went a different direction, did like maybe more birds, more flip? Like what's something you would have say, we would have went more this way?
Yeah. So we started about 3.5 years ago. So this would be like a very timely spot.
Yeah.
It's hard because we DIY'd a lot in the beginning, which obviously slowed us down significantly, but it also allowed us to save a lot of money, which has been super helpful in investing. I would say though, I think I would tell us it would be burring, because our first property, we technically burred in that we bought it, we renovated, we refinanced, but it wasn't like a perfect burr. And that wasn't necessarily our goal. We were just like, oh crap, we have a lot of equity in this place. We should pull some out of it and pay our credit card debt off. But our third property, we did like a perfect burr. And it was the first time we used private money. It was the first time we did an off-market deal. It was the first time we did like a major renovation. And that deal gave us the confidence to go, wow, like this makes a lot of sense. This is working and we're pretty good at it. Like we get it. So if we could have had someone just give us that confidence to know that we could tackle a burr that's off market with private money, I think that would have been the advice.
Absolutely.
Because it's all confidence, it's all fear, and it's all experience driven. Someone could tell you that, but unless you go through yourself, you're not going to believe it, and you're not going to move through it the same way. And unfortunately, it's like people always ask Kyle, how do you estimate a renovation? And there are tips and tricks that he could tell you, but it really just comes down to, you kind of just have to do one so that you could look back at those receipts and those charges and see what labor costs. And then you can go and plan the next one.
Yeah.
And it's this, and that's really what it is with making offers. The first time you make an offer, it's gonna be super scary, but then the second time it's not. the first time you get a tenant maintenance call, it's super scary. And then the second time it's not so bad anymore. You kind of just have to go through it.
Yeah. If our first property, I think our first property was perfect. And if it hadn't been what it was, that would be my suggestion to ourselves, which was a Burr house hack.
Yeah.
We kind of mingled those two together.
Right.
And it was a great way to ease into investing and first time managing a renovation, and then just documenting all of it, like Lauren said, so that when we go on to our next property, we know exactly what to do at a walkthrough and how much things are going to cost. We understand our market at that point. And it was a perfect way to get into investing was the house hack.
And sometimes I think them perfect deals almost make it harder to find a second deal because you're comparing it to that first deal.
Well, financially, it was not a perfect deal.
Okay.
But for lessons, there were so many lessons that we were able to take away. It really helped us in our second, third, and fourth deal.
Yeah. But the second deal was really hard to find because since we house hacked the first property, we had such specific criteria.
Yeah.
We wanted to live in this town, on a handful of streets.
And when we first started, it was residential multifamily all the way. And that's all we were looking for.
Yeah. So we were like, it needs to be a 2-family house. One of the units needs to be larger than the other one because we wanted to live in the smaller unit so we could have more rent coming in. It was like super specific. And then our second deal, we weren't going to house hack it. And it was like, wow, we have so many options. Like the property could be in Florida if we wanted to. We could do out of state. We could do single family. We could do multifamily. We could do Burr. We could do short-term rentals. Like the amount of options there were created another round of analysis paralysis, if you will.
Yeah.
And what Kyle said, like our original goal was small multifamily all the way. And we just couldn't find another multifamily that was going to work. And just like out of a whim, I, pressed single family home on the Zillow app instead of, multifamily.
Right.
And we ended up finding this other little submarket with some really affordable single family homes. And that's where like our home run deals have been since then. So it's, everyone always tells you like put your blinders on, stay super focused, but when you kind of allow yourself to see what other options are, I think creates more opportunity.
Yeah. And luckily Lauren was good at analyzing properties because at that point I had no idea how to run the calculator because that just wasn't my job within the way that we were structuring our partnership.
Right.
So, and that would be one thing I would suggest to everybody out there that's trying to get into it and move on to different markets is to just analyze deals and analyze deals and analyze deals. Just continue to analyze and don't get so focused, broaden your market into single families because they cash flowed better than our multifamily.
Yeah, that's I tell people at the beginning always because some people they be like, George, I'm looking for a duplex, and when you're looking for a duplex, me, like you already heard Brandon Turner always say your tool belt. My tool belt, you want to be able to tackle a deal. A deal can be in all forms and shapes. It could be a duplex, a single family, a house with an extra lot, a wholesale deal, and I feel like the more skills and the things you know how to close on. That give you more opportunity for to move forward faster, instead of just like I said.
And we feel that way about funding.
Yeah. Well, okay. So
where were you going to go? Okay.
I was going to go with the fact that you asked us what our 5-year goal was. Okay.
Right.
And it's important to kind of know where you're going. Right. And ours was 10 years, 20,000 in cash flow. And we kind of stopped looking at it as doors and started to look at it as cash flow. So how can we fulfill that cash flow goal and stop looking at it as doors?
Right.
Because let's
it
break
could be
it down.
land.
It could be land. It could be anything. Cash flow is cash flow. So, that's just jumping right off of that. It's super important to kind of look at it that way instead of doors.
And I was going to take it in another direction because the idea of a tool belt has come and has been handy for us lately because everyone's like, well, how are you funding your deals? And I'm like, we fund them whatever way the deal needs to be funded.
Exactly.
Because every deal is different. Like some might be a conventional loan. Some might be private money. We just bought one with a HELOC. And so it's just the more ways you can make the deal work, the better chances that you're going to find that opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It make you a lot more successful because even me, I was looking for that duplex and all the duplexes just overpriced. And I end up finding a house with the mother-in-law suite. Just like a duplex, except is listed on a single family. Yep. And the person that was living in the house before, they weren't really thinking like a real estate investor, so they just used mother-in-law suite, it's like maybe family come out of town, they can stay in there. But me, I move in it, rent it out immediately, and they cover the whole house.
Yeah. And then just like we have the 5-car garage, a lot of times maybe you find a single family with a 2-car garage detached. Now all of a sudden, instead of utilizing it for that house, maybe you utilize it as storage.
So
that's just extra cash flow you can get coming in. So maybe start broadening and looking at things like that.
Oh man, that's great. All right, this question is for all right, a lot of people, because this is the one question I don't know, I start to hate it. They be like, George, how many properties you got? You know what I mean? Because if you say a number too high, they're like, you're rich. You say, you know what I mean? People judge people by how many houses they own. So, all right, for the middle class, how important are the words equity and wealth? Because I'm pretty sure, like most real estate investors, we are more wealthy equity-wise than cash-wise.
100%. Yeah. If you look at like our balance sheet right now, we don't have a lot of cash, but our net worth might be up there a little bit.
I know. That's what I said to the middle class who don't really understand how important that equity is in wealth and how important equity is to building wealth. How important are them two words in your guys' goal?
Well, I think you could create a nice example. Like I feel like a lot of your squad mates are like, damn, you guys are bringing in the money.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say that at least at this stage where we're at, we are in the aggressive stage. So we are not cash rich. All the cash flow that we get, we're reinvesting it. So
we don't spend a single dollar of it for our own personal expenses. It always goes right back into real estate. And kind of going back to what you were saying, like someone could say, I have 100 doors, but they might be in a syndication and only own like 5% of that. So doors is like such a tricky number.
Or what did you pay for those doors?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, they'll unfortunately overpay for properties. So, they may get 4 doors, but they may barely cash flow or
not at all.
Or not at all. We hear from some people, they'll ask, wait, you guys actually make money on these properties? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
I hope so.
Scared. I know, right? We going backwards. We finna go get Biggerpockets.
Yeah.
But all right. So, all right. What's like the biggest challenge you're currently in your business facing? Like, what's like we need to solve this problem?
For me, and I think for both of us, it's the fact that our cash flow for our 10-year goal we need to start outsourcing and completing more properties a year than we are now. For us to renovate a property, it's been about ourselves and DIY it takes about 4 months. And that's kind of like unacceptable for us if we're trying to add all these properties to our portfolio within the next 9 years.
Right.
So outsourcing is a big thing right now for me personally.
Yeah. And I would say we're getting at a point where, and this ties into Kyle's outsourcing, we've been DIYing everything, property management, the deal finding, the renovations, all that good stuff for the past 3.5, 4 years since we started. And I would say just now, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, like we're getting a smidge tired juggling it with like our W-2 job and, doing real estate investing. So the outsourcing is coming in super timely, but it's also just like, how can we just make this more efficient? We were constantly like ordering supplies from Home Depot, picking it up ourselves, bringing it to the job site. Well, that's time consuming. So now we're kind of thinking ahead, like, we want to start like having a family in the next year or two. Okay, well, if we have a little baby, we can't be doing that. So what can we start doing now to get into the swing of things so that when we do start having a family, things aren't as time consuming?
Yeah. A tip I can tell you, because my mom, she'd be like, y'all must work at Lowe's because we go there so much. But lately, because we got a business account at Lowe's, they got it where you can contract or you just go, say we need 40 things or 2x4s, this, and they basically put it on a pallet. So now when I go there, pull up front, pay for it, and they just bring it all out on one pallet, which saves time,
we've been hearing a lot of good things about Lowe's over Home Depot lately. We've just like been Home Depot people because it's been closer to our properties,
right.
But we've had some not so great experiences with them shipping material. And everyone's been raving about Lowe's. So we might
have to check them out. I was always under the impression it was like building was Home Depot, finishes were Lowe's.
Well, I got the impression Home Depot was more like for real big builders, and Lowe's was more like homeowners needed supplies.
Right.
That's what it feel like, you know.
Hey, either way, whoever gives you the best deal and gets it to the proper
Exactly.
time will fine.
Yeah. All right. This is a different one. All right, this is my first time asking this question, so we gotta play along. I wrote. So all right, I'm the seller. You guys trying to buy my property, and we want to basically for the people watching, how would you say you can't get financing and you want to owner finance this deal? How would you come at the seller, or even just buy it? But particularly, you want to owner finance it because it's cheaper, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So all right. My name is Bob. Yes, I have an 8-unit apartment complex. I'm selling it for $650,000, and currently each unit rents for $800. And by the way, my wife just passed away, and I'm thinking about moving out west with my family, and I just kind of want to get rid of my property.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about your wife. So tell me more about what's out west. You know, what area?
Well, a lot of my family members, they live in California, and I'm here in Florida, and, you know, I just want to be out there. So the property is going to be hard to manage it from out there. So I'm just looking to sell it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And trying to get you out west, you know, quickly would be kind of where I'd be going. Like, we could close this deal, and you could pack your stuff and get out west.
Mm-hmm.
We take care of everything else. You have no responsibility other than sitting back and collecting checks.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that?
So how much were you asking? Did you say 600,000?
650,000. So it's
650.
basically like $80,000 a door, and each unit is currently renting for $800.
All right, 650, 600. All right, we could probably work with that. So, you know, 600,000, it's a little much. You know, if we were going to get our own loan, you know, I don't know if we'd be able to get there, but we do have another way that we could probably get you the price you're looking at. If you don't mind me asking, you know, how much money do you own on the property?
It's free and clear.
Oh, it's free and clear. Okay. So listen, we have a way of working. If you have any interest in, well, actually, I would back check a little bit, and I would say, you know, how much money do you need a month to move out west?
Well, that would be a great thing if I can I don't really need a whole bunch of money because I don't want to pay taxes on that property. Mm-hmm. So if I could just maintain some cash flow each month, I'll be fine with that.
All right. And like, how much money do you think you need to like get out west? Like, is there any sort of like, you know, lump sum? Do you need to, you know, buy a plane ticket? Do you need to buy a new house when you get there?
Well, I do need to buy a car, probably around 30, 50,000, somewhere in that range.
Okay, so what if we could get you the 30 to 50,000? You know, let's make it 50,000. You need to get a nice car. What if we could give you the 50,000, and then we can give you like a nice payment each month to support your living out west? Would that work for you? And then we could probably get at your number.
Yeah, if you can give me the right number each month, that sounds like a great idea. We can make some work. But all right, so for most people, the key in that whole conversation was that that 50,000 was like pennies, right?
Yeah. So I mean, 100%. But to be honest, the conversation, and obviously we don't have time, but we would have stuck on the why do you want to move to the Midwest for a very long time. Yeah. Because we want them to envision it. I need to be out west with my family, need to be at the pool, playing volleyball with my grandkids. You want them to be so close to that vision that no matter what number they give you, you're going to take it.
We've been looking at off-market deals, and that's exactly where the conversation needs to go.
We don't even talk about the house.
Because we try to find those pain points and where they're struggling and what things are that we can help with, and trying to get those solutions. Yeah. And a lot of times we went 3 full phone calls, like an hour long. We didn't even discuss the property at all. We just discussed them and what they needed, and developing that relationship. Very important.
And then after that, it's definitely like, what cash do they need right now and what do they need monthly? And then you could make the numbers fit that calculation in a multitude of ways.
Exactly, Mac. That was awesome, because I went to a meetup, and the guy who was teaching the class, he was like, I haven't used bank money in like such and such long, because he would actually say, I would overpay for the property. So say you wanted $500,000 for your apartment complex. He would say, I'll give you $550,000, but that monthly payment is so different from that cash flow every month. It's such a big number that it doesn't even matter how much he's paying for it because the cash flow is so good.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that was just for people, and that was important too. Like you said, it's not even about the property, it's the why, the relationship. Because every time I bought a house, I tell people all the time, whenever the seller want to sell to you, like you personally, because they like you, that and you want to buy it from them, that deal usually always works. No matter what comes up through the process, they want to sell to you, so usually they make the deal happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, this is like the last The American Dream podcast question, rapid questions, and I switched it up because I got professionals on here today. So it's not the same questions. If you could spend a day with a mentor, who would it be?
I feel like I would just say Brandon Turner so we could go surfing in Hawaii. Not just because obviously he has like a multitude of other things that we could talk about. But yeah, if we can talk real estate,
Brandon is the number.
I totally agree.
Brandon Turner.
Yeah, I would have said the same exact
thing. I mean, if he lived in like Michigan, maybe it would be as attractive.
Nah, that's like the number one answer on here, Brandon Turner.
Or McConaughey. You know, obviously he's got a little bit more investment knowledge than I thought he might have had.
Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah,
because he just did that last episode.
He just did that last episode on BP.
That was on a Sunday episode?
2 Sundays ago.
It was a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
I guess he had just released a book.
So. Yeah.
Okay, I did hear that one.
Yep.
Okay. All right. What's your financial freedom state? So basically, once you reach financial freedom, what state would you want to live in?
Anywhere where there's no winter.
But unfortunately, that's probably not going to be the case. New Jersey families are strong and they don't leave the state.
So all we got to do is sell to them the idea of moving down south.
If we could get the rest of them to move with us, we'll move down there. But I mean, where are we thinking? Like North Carolina, South Carolina?
I would like South Carolina, like on the coast of South Carolina somewhere.
I figured I was going to do a deal with y'all, like a deep dive deal with Charleston, South Carolina. I knew you guys would like Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
You complete the sentence, the blank in the sentence. I could blank every day. What could you do every day? I know. I stumped you.
So I know exactly what he's going to say. He's going to say he could golf every day.
I could golf every day.
Oh, man.
And I'm rolling my eyes because I don't golf, so that's great.
Or I could just, I could be in the ocean every day.
Oh yeah, I could definitely be down the shore at the beach every day, 1,000%, floating in the ocean.
And it's one of our whys. It's one of our whys that we're in this too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's a book you read that changed your mindset? Like to help your mindset strengthen to this?
I would say the 7 Years to Seven Figures ebook. That's just made just because that's what initially started this whole track for me.
Yeah. And I would say this isn't necessarily a mindset book, but it helped me change the way I think about what we're doing. And it's Traction by Gino Wickman. It's all about running your business according to the EOS system. And it's super technical and like.
Oh, I got that book. I just bought that book.
You wouldn't think it's a mindset book, but it really was made me think like, wow, like we are a business. We should be running it this way. So that helped us a lot.
It helped us with our systems. And one thing that, because it's not like essentially a real estate investment specific book,
right,
but there's things you can take away to implement into your team that they discuss in there. And we both read it, and it was really, it's great. You're going to love it.
I just started reading that book, and I did a little quiz at the beginning. And the first thing I realized that we weren't doing was the team didn't even have the same vision. So now we do weekly meetings. So every Sunday night, 8:00, I got the Zoom set up, repeat. We all get on for 15 minutes and figure out what's the goal for this week. Because that's like, that's huge, man. I realized, I'm like, we don't even discuss. We discuss it maybe every now and then, but this is a weekly thing that we all need to know what's the most highest priority for this week. Because it changed every week. And I feel like I'm the only person who really know.
Then what you all should do is do an annual meeting where you go away somewhere, and then you could write the whole thing off.
That's what I'm talking about. A vacation. I think once I get rolling, like start doing the flips more consistent, 2021, that's the goal. I think I will take. Usually now we take like 1 week vacations when we go on vacation. I think I want a 2 week vacations. So now you don't have to like do something every day, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. We go on vacation to a spot, the same place every year. And at first, Kyle's family has been doing it for years and years. And at first I was like, you go to the same spot every year. Like, what a waste of vacation days. I was not about it. And honestly, it's one of my favorite vacations now because there's not this like urgency to go see the sights and do this attraction and like make the most out of the time. It's like the most rejuvenating, like relaxing vacation because we wake up, we eat breakfast, maybe we go for a run. Like there's no rush to do anything because we've technically done it all already. It's just like a nice, enjoyable time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I went to Hawaii we went for our honeymoon and I think we went for like 4 days, but Hawaii in 4 days is not enough because you're trying to do, you know, the activity every day in Hawaii. You just need to breathe, you know.
The vacation from the vacation.
Right. So yeah, that's my goal. Once we start doing these flips, to do 2 week vacation instead of 1 week, at least.
I love it.
Okay, I was gonna ask something. Oh yeah, this is a bonus question. This is something different. What's something you guys spend money on that it costs a lot, but it's worth it? It don't have to be real estate related, but just in life period. Like you splurge on this.
Cleaning lady.
I was gonna say tools.
Okay, so you guys got a maid already.
No, not yet. I mean, Lauren's already budgeting for it when we move.
Oh, okay.
When we get our forever house, there's like a maid, and every day Lauren's got like another task she's going to be doing.
But I would say like lawn cutting, like stuff like that.
Yeah, long cut, things that
like reoccurring chores.
Exactly. Yep.
I don't like doing. Like folding laundry drives me insane.
Okay.
I'll watch it.
No, I'm saying like, okay, I get it. So you'll spend money on that.
I'm going to have, like, when we have like our home, the cleaning lady is going to also do our laundry and put it back in the drawers for us. And I'm just going to be like, wow, my clothes are clean.
Wow. That's, yeah. You can spend more time on the beach.
Exactly.
All right. So what's your guys' version of the new American dream? The old American dream is you guys will stay at your jobs for the next 20, 30 years, retire, and then you'll start, you know, being with the grandkids or kids or whatever and traveling. What's your version of the new American dream that you want to live?
Choices, flexibility, spontaneity, really just being able to wake up and choose what you want to do every day because that's what you want to do, not because you have to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I would
like, I think, I mean, I, as much as like millennials get a bad rap, like we just want experiences and relationships and to have a good time.
Live and work, not work and live.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What'd you wait? No, work to live, not
work to live. Yeah. Oops.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. No, because I always say that too, because, you know, when I was at the post office, I was working like 50, 60 hours a week. And it was kind of like I was just living to go to work. Like everything, if you be like, hey, George, you want to go out to eat? I'm like, I got to work in the morning. George, you want to play basketball? I got to work in the morning. It's like my friends started saying, before they even asked me to do anything, hey, you got to work tomorrow? And it was like, yep. It was like, that's not a good life.
Exactly.
Okay. So let the people know where, if they want to reach out to you guys, where they can find you at.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely the easiest way to get in touch with us is on Instagram. Our handle is at rentalstowealth. We're super responsive on there. We answer every question that comes in. So DM us, you know, anything you need.
Yes, and depending when this comes out, I'm going to say this just to hold ourselves accountable. We'll be launching our own YouTube channel. So you can find us on YouTube at Rentals to Wealth as well.
Okay, it's going to get on YouTube. Sounds like a plan. All right.
The first person we've told about this, by the way.
Oh, so this is exclusive. All right.
George, this is exclusive, man.
All right. I'm going to tell HGTV. All right.